Hello, Nica, and welcome to this episode of the Humans of Horses podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing super well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast as well.
No, thank you for your time. Before we dive in, those of you who might be watching, I have a swollen eye, so it's fine, I'm fine, but it's not ideal, but there we go. The nice thing about being on your own podcast is you can just be like, doesn't matter. So, um, so yeah, my name's Elle. I'm otherwise known as the Cognitive Equestrian on Instagram. And I am the human of three wonderful horses, Fion, Zirconia, and Morgan. And with me today is Nica from Nica Draws Nature. I'm really, really, really excited to get talking because I've followed you for a while and I just like your art just calls to me. So, and I think it does to many other people as well. So, would you like to introduce yourself on that note?
Yes, thank you so much. Honestly, it has been such a journey of not only sharing my art, but then also connecting with so many incredible people through it. So, a quick introduction is that I am an equine artist and graphic designer now, meaning that one kind of fell into my lap after so many people have been reaching out about their own businesses and services. So, I've gone from illustrator and portrait drawer to branding and web designer over the
That's
past few years.
that's really cool because that's just so organic, isn't it? How because I bet you if you go back and sort of tell yourself that's where your life would be, like if you could go back to say your 18-year-old self right now, what would you actually say to her?
Well, funny enough, I went to I went to college for graphic design, and I at the time had no idea why I was choosing that because I had never done anything graphic. Like I'd never done anything on computers really. I might have played with Photoshop a few times, but I just signed up like that. I was like, that's my major. I'm gonna be a graphic designer. What does that even mean? I don't know. Like I didn't even know a single thing about it when I went into it. And it was just like the path that I decided to take and dedicate 4 years of my life to. And in hindsight, it's hilarious because I'm like, I use all those skills now. But at the time, I had zero clue why I chose that instead of the more, well, no, I take that back. I do know why I chose it because it seemed more logical. It seemed like I could have a job or a career in art through graphic design, and that I knew that technology would only be improving, and that, like if I got ahead of it now, that would be a really solid art career because I never imagined myself working for myself. I always thought of art like my fine art and, like painting and stuff. I didn't ever want to put pressure on it to make me money. Like I even knew this as a young person that the second you put it, you start putting price tags on things, you lose the joy of something.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so back then, I decided that I would just always work for somebody else and that I would want to always work for small businesses and I would want to keep it low key. And I actually remember writing like an essay for something like in high school about, yeah, not wanting to work for myself because it'd be just too much. And now here I am.
And here you are. It's amazing, isn't it, how because I was kind of the opposite to you in a way. I was like, I'm not going to commit to, we call it university in the UK, but I'm not going to commit to university because I don't know where I'm going to go after. And I literally didn't see the point. I was like, if I don't know what I'm doing afterwards, why am I going to go and study something? So I love that you're just the flip side of that. Like,
Well, I think that's also the American mindset, very much so, where it's like, it was almost like I had no choice. I'm going to college. So it was like, what college and what major? It's almost like the path is,
prescribed, kind of.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's very much so like burned into the curriculum that like all you're doing is preparing for college throughout your high school time. So it's just now that I live in the UK, I just see the totally different mindset here. And it's kind of amazing because nobody's forced into doing something and dedicating their life as a teenager to something they don't know they want to do. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Although mine did work out because unlike many people I know, I actually use my degree now.
Thanks for sharing, because I think for a lot of creatives out there, it's inspiring to hear your path as well, and how you have ownership of your life and your art and your business, and how you've managed to make this work. Like, because it is great. I think it is overwhelming for a lot of creatives. Because I did GCSE art in school, and I was kind of like, I can't really go anywhere with this, so I just put it to the side and totally forgot about it. But yeah, that's as well why I think I was drawn to you as well. I was like, that's really cool. So, um, shall we dive into? Because I think for people like you and me, who see horses in a similar way, and have relationships with horses in this way, um, we have a sort of pivotal moment, or a pivotal horse, or a pivotal experience or relationship. So let's sort of dive into that, and like how that came to be with maybe a horse or horses past and present.
Yes, I would say I also have met many people on this path, and everyone has that one horse. That one horse that changed everything. And I would say mine was a kind of a culmination of a few things, but it was definitely my horse Merlin who was my catalyst. And back then his name was Mo, but I changed his name eventually because that did not suit him. But at at this time, it was what, 2017, I want to say, and I went over to Europe and I stayed with a woman in Switzerland for a few weeks. And the reason I'd sought her out because I was doing workaways, you know, when you like go to a place and you exchange some work for food and board, and it's just a really amazing way to travel and to see places. Like I wouldn't be able to spend 3 weeks in Switzerland. That was crazy expensive. But I got to stay there and like live with their family and stuff. So that was very cool. But her her profile said that she did clicker training with horses, and I'd never heard of that. And at that
Oh,
point, like I'd never heard of people using
clicker training.
positive reinforcement for horses because I came from such a traditional, I would say traditional, more like Western background.
Mm.
So my God, that would not be, that was not the ethos.
Yeah, I've
Eh,
seen enough physios to.
yes.
Yeah.
So, and I was working at a guest ranch at the time, and we were just always doing trail rides, and that was the life. And so here I am. She gave me Karen Pryor's book, like Don't Shoot the Dog, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I sat down. I remember sitting down at the table and reading it all in one afternoon. I was
Wow.
like, oh my God, my life has changed. Like I will never see things the same again. And that was really the catalyst for everything that would continue to be brewing inside of me after that. Because once she was like, we went out into the field and she would show me some of the things that she could do with her horses. And she basically told me, she was like, yeah, I studied natural horsemanship for like 15 years and I'll never go back. And I was like, what? I don't understand. And then that was when I read the book and I was like, okay. So
What
then
year was this? Out of curiosity.
I think it was 2017. Yeah. And so I know so much has changed in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this switch, I would say it almost happened like it was like almost like this decision point, and then after that everything just moved at lightning speed. And so then I went back to this guest ranch where I had all these conflicting feelings because I was like, what are we doing? What am I doing here? Like, how am I able to, you know, take all these random people on rides with these horses that probably aren't really enjoying it? Granted, I would say that at this place, the horses were really well kept and truly we got to rotate them almost like they were very, very well cared for.
Yeah.
Still, random people getting on and going on 4 hour walk rides through the forest, like, yeah, there's still some things that are gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I truly love that organic growth that I went through for this because I really got to live this experience of like sitting with this feeling, this like cognitive dissonance for so many months and just being like, what am I doing here? Like, what are we doing to horses and everything? So at the same time, I had been working with this young horse named Mo, and he was from the Amish originally. So unfortunately, they don't have the best reputation with working with the horses and then bringing them to auction at a very, very young age when they don't hook up to the, or when they don't work out, you know. So he definitely came with some baggage, and I had been working with him for like a year and a half at this point, on and off, and he was definitely one of the most sensitive horses I'd ever met. Um, and most people, like anybody that saw him, was just like in awe of him. Like he had this presence about him that made you kind of scared. Like truly everybody that, like, I mean, we're at a guest ranch, like all the horses are really docile and, you know, chill, but somebody would see him in the field and like be like, who is that? And you know, like he just had this incredible Frisian movement. He's part Frisian, part saddlebred. Who decided that? Um, what a combo. Um, and yeah, he was really, I don't want to say explosive because it wasn't like he actually exploded many times. He did a few times, and I definitely felt that. But it was the inner like buildup that I could feel, and I'd never really felt that from a horse before. And so every time I'd worked with him, I felt my own anxiety and my own feelings. And at this point, I also have to say that I was going through an incredibly a really hard time just with relationships and life and my lifestyle at the time. So I was very mentally and physically not super healthy.
Mm.
And so I had all this crazy anxiety inside of me. And on the outside, I was pretty much just like kind of like shut down, you know? Like
Mm.
I just had to get on with get on with things, get on with life. And so I actually, in hindsight, can see how much he mirrored me, where the inner turmoil was so intense and like we could both feel this like, you know, swirling emotions all the time, but on the outside we were both like brick walls.
Yeah. I guess if someone was watching you two from the outside, they wouldn't really see anything.
Anything.
They're just like,
No.
what are they doing? Like, nothing.
Yep. And it was so interesting because I did have a lot of fear around him, but I wouldn't have said that at the time. I wouldn't have known that that's what it was. And anyways, so I'd worked with him for a while and we got over some really amazing milestones. And like I got to a place where I felt like we were just talking in our minds. Like I was just like, you know, like I was like, I'd never experienced this because I've never had my own horse before. So I've never gotten to um, really develop a long-term relationship with a horse before. And he was still not my horse at the time. But like I'd always just had to rotate whatever horses were given to me and work with other people's. And I've always worked for my horse experience, essentially. So I've never had that kind of bond with a horse before in this way. And it was really me and him because nobody else was working with him. So at that point, I was able to communicate with him like truly like in my body and my mind. And I was like, what is this? Like this is
Wow.
wild. And what I learned from that, like what I think is so cool is that all of this happened just in my own world. I didn't even know you could like follow people on social media at this point. Like I genuinely, besides like my friends, like I didn't know you could like follow other people online and like learn stuff. Like, no, I was just like in the world of everything and learning stuff from people down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, which is great. And I think that it made for this container of exploration without my, like, without outside.
Very organic and
Yeah, exactly.
intrinsic. Yeah.
Totally. So I feel like that really informed a lot of what came after because I really got to just, nobody was telling me. I was in a place that this was definitely not that accepted to talk about stuff like this. And yet here it was happening, you know?
Mm. How did you find, what is the word? Like, because you've articulated that also beautifully. So, um, how did you find being in an environment that was juxtaposing how you were feeling on your experiences? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. Yeah.
Totally. And honestly, I would say that it was confusing because, I mean, obviously, but the wording that we would use, and this is very like parallel to natural horsemanship, the wording that we would use in at the ranches that I worked with would be very much so what you would think is built on relationship and trust. And, you know, like we would say, like you have this bond with these horses and you go out and you have to trust each other because you're out and like you don't know what's going to happen next. So, like, there's all these things that it was like I was almost just saying all the right words and not really living it in the truest way. And so I feel like that was the energy around it, where we all loved and respected horses, but what did that actually mean? You know?
Mm.
So it wasn't that like everything was harsh and dominating, but more so that it was like it was like the opposite, where it was like we were saying all the right things, but then like doing different. And that was where I was
Not walking the
really,
walk.
yeah, exactly. But not knowing that because
No.
we were saying the words that we had our own definitions to. And I think that that is one of the weirdest things in the equine industry is that we've just made up all these words that mean have totally different definitions when it comes to
Mm.
horses.
It's like the word energy, right? Like, what does energy mean? That I think
Exactly.
it means so much, so many different things, so many different people. And it's like, oh, your horse has high energy. And I'm like, yeah, what does that even mean? Like, can we talk about more like small things? Not these, oh, he has high energy, he's explosive, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay. I mean,
Yes.
what does energy mean to you, for example?
To me, energy is our being. And so it's not that like you just said like a horse has high energy, but more that they're more dialed in and probably have a more sensitive um being. You know,
Yeah.
like we all have energy. Energy is all around us all of the time and it is everything and nothing all at once. I Yeah, and I feel like energy is the leading force of connection when it comes to
Mm,
horses. And so it's that space between. It's the non-connection points where energy speaks the loudest, right?
yeah. I love that. That's really cool. I have to come back and find that and find it as quotes.
Thanks.
No, that was really awesome. So that just made me think because I studied philosophy at A level and I got very excited by it. It was like one of those things that that you have things in life that generate sparks. For me, that was a spark, and like I started getting completely into my own ideas. And I myself am not a believer in God anymore, but at the time I was like, okay, so the way religion is justifying God is about like how I think it was like God, what's the word? The all where he's all present, omnipresent, omnipotent, all the omni qualities. And I was like, okay, so how can science justify that? Or how can that fit in with science? So then I started thinking of like subatomical stuff. And I was like, okay, you have an atom, and within an atom, you have the protons, neutrons, electrons. I've not done science in years, so I'll try and remember. And then I was like, okay, well, then what's in between the atoms? Like them, like, sorry, the elements of atoms, what's in between them? And I'm like, there's space there. What is that space? And I think at the time I kind of used that to justify God, but now it's like that is where energy is. It's like that microscopic subatomic space that is not filled by anything, but it's there. And I'm like, I wonder if that's it. And I think, do you know Philip Pullman? So one for you to watch after. You can either read it or watch it, but he wrote three books called His Dark Materials, and the first one was The Northern Lights. And BBC actually wrote a very good TV series about the books. So, and they actually put it very beautifully into imagery. Like I'm like, yes, this is it. And it talks about dust, and dust is like the conscience of the universe. And I'm like, I think that there's a link there with energy, dust. And I was like, that's like for me a way of the way Philip Pullman writes gave image to this idea of consciousness and energy for me.
Oh, I love that. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, and I whether or not like somebody believes in God, it's like the divine. It's the it's that universal source energy, right? So
Yeah,
we can put whatever name we want to it, but that is it still.
yeah, yeah. I think you used a word in your notes. I just try find them. Was it like, it begins with O. Can't remember now.
Hmm, me neither.
It's like it's sort of otherworldly. That's it.
Yes.
Otherworldly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's like that is where the magic lives
Mm.
because it's the thing that science can't fully explain. It's a thing that we're like grasping for. It's like probably parallel with the meaning of life, you know? The things that are just these non-tangible and see but like they bring us so much meaning all at the same time.
Mm.
So what I mean by that is like let's say for example with horses, there's that the magic that comes with being in the presence of a horse is something that literally like I mean we can try to like look at it through a scientific lens. We can look at, you know, people are doing the heart math research and there is like definitely a lot of tests that you can do to see how horses presence affects our nervous system and our heart rates and they genuinely do have an influence on us.
Mm.
But at what point does that even matter when you have this like spiritual experience?
Yeah.
Like what does science matter when you are changed after an interaction with a being that maybe you didn't even have a physical connection with, but you sat on the ground and you felt for the first time that you've been seen completely in total non-judgment by another
As you
being.
are. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't put you can't put science to that. You can't put a price on that. That is magic and that is a spiritual experience and that is why that connection with horses is so strong between humans and horses because yeah, there's just
And
something that
it's
happens.
thousands of years old.
Yeah,
Like our relationship with a dog and our relationship with a cat. Cats, dogs, horses, they have been in our lives for thousands of years as a species. And I love there's a set of cards I have because I know you have your own cards as well. Um, but it's The Way of the Horse from Linda Collin Hoff. And there's one card that talks about like the ancestors of the horse and that ancestral wisdom. And I think when you're able to have that relationship with a horse and be present like that and have that organic intrinsic link, you connect to both your ancestral wisdom and the ancestral wisdom of that horse.
absolutely. I love that. And I think that the ancestral wisdom or the ancestral collective of the horses and the present collective of the horses and the future collective of the horses, they're all in that energetic space that lives in and around us and above us. And this is like, I mean, this is getting a little bit out there, but it's not because this is how I feel like I've got a connection with horses when it's been, I don't know, 7 months since I've even been around horses.
Mm,
But I, on a daily basis, am working with the energy of the collective of the horses, of the equines. And it's this feeling of them wanting to support us and humanity in this next level of consciousness. Because what we've done with horses in the past has been very much so about master servant, leader, and submissive. And, you know, like they were our tools, they were our transportation, they were the way that we could actually grow as a species in many ways, like technologically and literally spreading out further. Like migration
mm,
has been I mean, obviously, we can thank the, you know, ox and camels and all the other animals as well, but horses were definitely the probably the most prominent in terms of working alongside humans in this. And so they've been a part of our journey in terms of evolution for centuries.
yeah.
And when did it shift that we didn't respect them and honor them in the ways that we probably used to? They were probably a little bit more revered at one point as that spiritual, like I know that there's many cultures that see the horse as the shaman. They are the
Mm.
link to this world and the other world. And they're the ones that deliver the messages from the, like, from
All
our
my spine is
physical
tingling. Yeah.
to the spiritual. So
Yeah.
they have always been a symbol of that divine connection. And so it's no like wonder why we sit with a horse and we feel something otherworldly.
Yeah. Yeah. I find on that sort of note, I have a story to add to that. So my mum had a horse Swift growing up. When I was growing up, she was already grown up. She had a horse called Swift, and Swift was that horse that changed everything for her, and she had to like change everything she thought she knew about horses because of him. And I met my heart horse Fion, and I saw Swift in Fion like quite early on, and I didn't really even say it, but I kind of just noted to myself as like, oh, he reminds me of Swift, like just in the way he was somehow. And now my mum is actually taking care of my horses because they're in the UK, whilst I moved to the UK myself. And she just says, oh, like I love Fiona, like he's so like Swift, he's so much like Swift. And I'm just like, I love that there's the link that like by just pure whatever, I found this horse in the Netherlands and he's like Swift. And I'm like, there's some must be some connection there. And now he's where Swift was buried as well. And that's just really beautiful, I think.
I
Yeah.
mean, I've talked to enough people who have had those same experiences where like it's pretty much a reincarnation of
Mm.
that horse to come back. It's that soul, that energy that it changed your mom's life is now here to change yours as well. Again, ancestral, like that. It might not be maybe that exact same Swift,
No.
but it's the same link. And it's like, again, it might not be DNA ancestral, but energetic ancestral, and it's here to pass it on to you and continue that growth and expansion. Like wow. Wow, that's
Transgenerationally as well, because
yeah,
now it's like I'm my mum's daughter, so here's that same energy for you. Yeah.
exactly. Oh
And
my gosh, I
and
love that.
Fion chose me. I didn't choose him at all. In fact, when I met him, I was like, I prefer your friends. He's less annoying. Like you're quite annoying, but he's kind of like there, shows up his jacket and say, hey, you're not you. You need to meet you. Like I'm gonna literally nudge you and make you realize that you're not you. So that's
Wow,
kind of what he does. That's his superpower, I think. But
that's incredible.
yeah.
God, they're so they have such an incredible way to work with us and like come into our
Mm.
lives, and it feels so orchestrated, like it really does feel
It
like
does. It does. I used to be an athlete, and I realized something like, was it last year? Because I went to the Warwick Schiller podcast summit, and when I was at this summit, they were talking about all sorts of stuff, and it does things to you, this thing. But I was like, hang on, the last time I ever was on a podium was like I think it was the second of either the 1st or 2nd of August 2014, and Fion was born the 6th of August 2014. And after that moment, my athletic career it just went and crashed. Yeah.
wow,
And then things fall into place that led me to being here in the Netherlands, and then I ended up with this horse. But yeah,
wow.
it's
it,
cool,
it
right?
is it's when you look back in hindsight, even though things don't make sense in the moment, it's all there. Like there is a path.
And I think when you start noticing that path and start saying yes to that path, everything, you'll still have things in life that happen that suck, because that's just life. But everything kind of flows, and like it's this shift of mindset. And again, coming back to the energy, I think it's like this biochemical shift in your body that then changes everything outward as well.
Yes, because
Yeah.
we really do have the power to, and I don't want to say it like so blanket statement of like create your own reality, but we do.
Mm.
We actually do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how would you advise someone to start connecting and unlocking that? It's a difficult question.
I don't know if it is because I think it starts with just listening to yourself, listening to that little voice that lives inside of our heads, not the one that like tells us that we suck at everything and that we can't do anything, but the other one, you know?
Mm,
It's and it's listening to the nudges. It's listening to the the slight even if it's the tiniest nudge saying go that way today and you
mm,
saying yes to it. So again, it doesn't have to be like life-changing big opportunities and like, blow the doors wide open to the next big thing. It's about the tiny steps that keep on threading you to the next level, or the next step to get you to the next step. And so we realize that we don't listen to those things when something doesn't go right and you heard it in your head first and you said, I wish I would have just listened to that. So,
mm,
and it happens all the time. Like we know that feeling of like, my gut told me not to do this and I did it anyways. And now these are the consequences. So, and it doesn't have to be big, but it's when you hear those little voices or that feeling, that tiny knowing, to actually follow it, because when you keep saying yes, it gets stronger and it keeps like a
mm,
muscle. You're building a muscle to listen to your intuition, and the more that you build that, the more clear things will just become, because it won't sound so muffled anymore. It's almost like you're the frequency of a radio, right? So if you've got a staticky radio, you can't really hear the voices, but you might make out a word or two now and then. But the more you sit there and dial in and let it get clearer and clearer, you can just stay on that frequency. It doesn't have to go
mm,
back down. Like you can actually stay there and continue to receive that wisdom from your intuition, which is like how animals operate.
yeah, yeah.
Instinct and intuition. So if that's us coming back to our animal self and actually just, yeah, that I feel like that is the way to start.
Yeah, rewilding.
Exactly.
Rewilding the self. I spoke in my last episode with Elizabeth about track systems and how we can rewild nature through track systems, but also rewild ourselves because we're giving that enrichment to us and the horses, as well as the wild animals that are living there, like the rabbits or the hedgehog or the shrews or whatever. And I think that's also the amazing thing about horses when you have your horse in a field or on a track or wherever, and you're in nature and you're surrounded by like the insects and the trees and the smells and the sounds, and it's just like so grounding. And then I think it starts to unlock your wild self as well. Yeah.
We need more of that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Definitely.
My brain's just like, ah.
Space. Quiet.
Space. Quiet. Yeah. We need that in a busy world, definitely.
I would also recommend, if anybody wants to take the deep dive, the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza
Mm.
is pretty cool, because if you want the science of quantum mechanics and how it has influence on your brain when you meditate, um, and then also by the end of it, giving you practices to literally rewire your brain and see the synchronicities and listen to your intuition. Yeah, dude, that's a good one.
I've put a little marker on that one. I forgot that exists, but what was I going to go with that? Yeah, it's like with the quantum stuff, that's also a whole nother thing. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so
Me neither.
I don't think even scientists can understand it, but I remember being shown in philosophy class this video, and you can also look it up on YouTube. I think it's called like Dr. Quantum, and then it's like Flatlands or something, and it shows a 2D world, and then Dr. Quantum is living in a 3D world, and it's kind of a really beautiful little cartoon of like how just because we can't see or sense something doesn't mean it's not there, and we can't necessarily conceptualize, but we can just try and change our brains and open that expansive way of thinking.
And that's also that's also where creativity comes in and
Mm,
imagination. Because if you can't imagine something outside of the the box that we live in, outside of the boundaries that we've created for ourselves, then you literally can't expand. You have to have some sort of imagination. And I mean, we all have one, right? But
mm,
it's that we've been conditioned to not create as much anymore. And this is, I want to say that creation and imagination are the remedies to a sick and disconnected world.
mm,
It's, of course, it's being in connection with nature. Of course, it's going out and connecting back to ourselves and who we are. But imagination and creativity, this is what sets us apart as humans,
mm,
because it's through it's through our stories, it's through our art that culture is built. It is through art that we find meaning in process. And it's that's the reason why AI art and, like um I'm trying to think, like auto-tuned recordings of horrible singers, but then you know, just like put on this like auto tune and it's fine now. Like it's like there's such a difference of you hearing somebody sitting around a campfire with their acoustic guitar singing, and it feels a lot different than that recording. Or it feels a lot like watching somebody paint something. It's so different than sitting there for 2 seconds as AI creates something. You know,
mm,
what's missing? The outcome might be just as beautiful. It might, but we're missing the process. We're missing the piece that gives it life and humanity. And I think that the more fast track we try to make things, and the more that we lose touch with our creativity, the easier it is for us to become disconnected from that divine that we were talking about in the beginning.
yeah, yeah.
Because that's like, that is where, I mean, creation is divine, right? And yeah, nature knows it. Nature's always creating, but we have this incredible superpower to create something out of nothing, and
Mm,
it's not in our blueprint. Whereas, like, yeah, the tree creates the apple, but it's in its blueprint. It's in its DNA to
mm.
continue to do this cycle. So yes, it's creating something from nothing, but it's programmed to do this. Where
We can do the
we
unprogrammed things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are actually limitless in that sense. And it's very easy to forget our own creative power.
Mm,
And so putting your own practice in of remembering that and connecting with that is going to, I just feel like that is such a remedy and such a medicine in a society that feels like it's absolutely crumbling right now.
yes. I feel like at the moment there's really big shifts happening and the animals know it. Because I have a really weird thing like the past 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more further back for some people, but in my close circle of like horse people, quite a few of us have had like really weird things suddenly happen health wise to our horses. Like, I won't share for the others because it's their thing, but for me, Zirconia, my mare, who's a very sweet, amazing mare and has been my spiritual guide for the last 2 years, she just suddenly like turned on Fion and just was bucking him and like really attacking him. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is not you. Like, what is going on here? I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, you're the sweet, amazing, very clear mare, and now you're deliberately going after him and beating him up, essentially. And then afterwards, like my helper, she said, oh, she's got like this swollen lump under her chin here, which she had last year when she got depressed because her friends left. And the vet checked it last year and said, I can't diagnose the cause. And then my teacher was like, of course you can't diagnose the cause, it's energetic. So it's like a energetic imbalance in her body. And I found it so interesting that that happened to her. And like, yeah, they sense something is happening, I think, but they they don't know what or can't explain it. And I find it really interesting that several people have experienced this recently with their horses, and I'm like, what is going on?
It's so interesting because I was tracking that as well, that I've seen a lot of people talking about their horses, how like big health things. Even my horse Merlin, he went through a pretty intense colic last week, no, 2 weeks ago. And another horse at that farm did the same and didn't make it. And so, yeah, and then I was talking to some other people, and there's just been a lot of interesting and, pretty tragic losses as well. But the horses have a plan, always. So if
Even
it
though
was
right
their
now it
time,
doesn't feel it.
exactly. And if it, like, and I know that this is a thing for many people. I'm not saying that it's happening right now, but like I know people that when they lose their animals, it's such a like an ascension process where I'll put an example of somebody I know who her heart horse was with her through like incredibly difficult years, like really horrible stuff. And he came into her life like at the time that probably it was the hardest. And they went through so much together over 17 years, I want to say. And she lost him last year. And the loss of him has freed her. And it was almost like he took her baggage from those years because he held on to so much for her, like he was genuinely her support through all of it. And so it was almost like he left this world with all of that and like set her free. And this past year of being without him has been her like biggest growth. And it's so interesting because I know somebody else recently going through something similar, but she doesn't know how it's going to change her life yet because it has
No.
recently happened. And so it's hard to look on the bright side of things like that because,
Mm.
you're grieving and it's really, really hard. But also, there are some times where it's truly like, yeah, there's something else happening here, you know?
Yeah. 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 I'm just gonna sit on that for a bit.
And of course, it's not always that way. And of course, things happen tragically. But
Yeah.
sometimes the animals can kind of prepare themselves for that. They do have a sense of something coming, or they do know when their time is coming. I can't know this for a fact, obviously, but I feel like we've seen it enough that animals will prepare their people and themselves for potentially an untimely death, you know,
Hmm.
or an illness or something where I don't know. I can't know. I don't have facts on this. I don't have science behind this, but these are the things that so many people experience.
Lived experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah.
animals are such amazing teachers. The end.
The end. End of podcast. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I lost my childhood's cat. What is it, 2021? And yeah, I was here and she was in the UK. COVID, couldn't see her. Hadn't seen her really. I didn't see my parents for 2 years during COVID. It was, yeah, I was stuck here. But that's how I found horses. So yeah, there we go. But I'm looking at a picture of her now, but she was 21 when she died, and or nearly 21. And she had kidney failure since she was 12, like a long time with kidney failure. But we supported her and gave her lots of herbs, and she like had 5-star treatment for all those years. But it's like the best way I describe it, she was like my nanny. So I was an only child, and like she'd do everything with me. She'd come with me when I was having breakfast. She'd come upstairs when I was washing my face and washing my teeth, when I was putting my school uniform on. And like if I wasn't there, she would not go in my bedroom, but she would go in my bedroom when I'm there. And like she would go to sleep with me, wait till I'd slept, and she'd leave. And she even lay on my arm when I was doing my homework, which I always found very weird because I'm like, I'm writing and you're on my arm and you're moving as I'm writing, but apparently that's fine. Um, but I just wonder now you've sort of said that, I'm like, maybe she hung on to see me fully thrive in my adult life. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And when she passed, she could not have gone any better. Like my mum described it as she just slowed down and just basically went to like literally went to sleep that day. And my mum could see she was just fading, but she could not have gone in a better way. You know, we might
Wow.
have had to put her to sleep at the vet because of the kidney thing, or she had this infection the year earlier where like a vestibular infection, so her head was like tilted. And my parents phoned me because they were at the emergency vet and they were like, you need to make a decision. Do we put her to sleep now or do we give her a chance? And I said, give her a chance. Like I read online that in dogs, I couldn't find anything about cats, but I was like, in dogs, apparently it can go away in 3 days or you start to see it go better. I was like, let's just give her a chance. And I think she just, like, I saw her one more time after that. And I think she just was like, and this was, this is so funny. This is after I met the horses.
Oh, of course it
Yeah.
was. Of course
And
it
then
was.
that was the last time I saw her. It was like 3 months after I met Fion.
Wow.
And I wasn't who I was going to become because of him yet. But yeah, and then she just faded away. And
And
I
now
don't know.
he's in your life. And
Now
now
I've
all these
just had a
other
whole
horses.
epiphany on the podcast. There we go.
I love that. Also,
Uh,
it's so interesting where conversation can take us, isn't it? Because
yeah.
never, I would never thought that this is where we would be in this conversation. But I
No.
think, again, that's like co-creation, if you will, you know? Like this is the unexpected flow that you step into when you're co-creating with whether it's somebody else or you're sitting down and drawing or you're sitting with your guitar and you're singing, like whatever it is, it's always about co-creation and allowing things to surprise you.
Mm, yeah. I have a question for you then that just came up. It's like, if you, so if someone was thinking, okay, great, I want to get creative. I want, like, where do I start?
Where do I start? I would start with something that lights you up. Just that, like you said before, that spark. So start there, see what pulls you in, and then play. Have fun with it. Like, literally don't put pressure on a creative practice and you'll enjoy it so much more. Though
Yeah.
I say that, and then sometimes you need containment and a little bit of parameters in order to actually do the thing, you know? So even if it's like you can start yourself by going to workshops or going to something that there's somebody guiding you and leading you so that way you can freely step into something that inspires you and that you don't feel like you're maybe doing something wrong because I know that that perfectionism really comes over people
Same with
sometimes.
horses.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I don't want to mess up my horse. It's like, okay.
Exactly. And
It's
then we
okay.
freeze and then we just don't do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool to work with somebody who is, yeah, or like going to a workshop, doing something where, you're kind of out of your comfort zone, but you're being guided along the way. So that way you are just doing it. You're in the process of it and you're not having to think about it.
Mm.
Whereas when you're sitting down at your house and you're trying to like do something for the first time, like, yeah, it might be really hard.
Yeah, that's actually really great advice, like a workshop. Because it can be hard, I think, when you're starting, they talk about habits and blah de blah, doing it this many and so many days, and then it becomes a habit. I'm like, that's just way too, that's bringing the whole energy thing from society that we don't want. No, I'm not going to prescribe myself this. Like, I don't need a prescription. But I think that's a really handy way because I think it's sometimes, when you want to get started with something, you can then start to be a bit like with task paralysis comes up. So actually, I think I sort of say to people as well, like, find something to help you with your accountability. So if that's going to workshop, do it, you know?
And that's why people offer like weekly pottery courses or something,
Yeah.
so it's like that you come back week after week and have that accountability
Yes.
and you're doing it, right? And so and it doesn't mean that you have to be new at something either. It could literally be because you just want to be held accountable to hold that space for yourself. So if you have to book yourself in and pay for something in order to actually go to it and actually do it, then that's a pretty good way to do it. And you're supporting somebody doing their passion, which is sharing
Exactly.
their love of art, you know?
I love that. Yeah. Yee. Yeah. I was in Somerset last week because that's where I'm going to move, and I could just feel this whole buzz of like creative people there. Like there's so many artists there with their little art shops and their little crafts, and I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, who knows what workshops you'll find.
Yeah, I'm curious. I joined like this local community group yesterday. I'm like, what's on this group? Let's see.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
Oh, that'll
yeah.
be amazing.
So
Yeah.
whereabouts in the UK are you?
I am I'm closer to Glasgow.
Okay. What drew
Yeah.
you there?
I am my husband, my Scottish
Ah,
husband.
there
So,
we go.
yeah, he grew up here. Well, he's from here. And we always thought we might move to America. Like that was kind of just like it was almost like we didn't even have to really talk about it. It was just like, yeah, we'll live in America. Like we were pretty much long distance for 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
How did you meet then? Sorry. It's like
We met in New
curious.
Zealand, actually.
Ah,
We were
yeah.
both traveling and yeah, we met and then I flew straight from New Zealand over to the UK after being there for a year. So I flew straight over here and lived with his parents like for 3 months. And we'd only like truly known each other for like a month and a half, 2 months. Yeah. Talk about like I think
Saying
about it
yes. Talk about saying yes.
being on the plane. It was like a 36-hour journey and
It's long, yeah.
it was a lot.
I
And
mean,
I
it's
was like,
literally the other side of the world. Like, you can
and of course I chose like a cheap flight as well. So it was like 4 stops.
via.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just remember sitting on the plane and being like, this is kind of crazy. But like it took me halfway through the flight to even think about like, oh, this is actually kind of wild. And I remember sitting on the plane next to somebody who she also had a long distance boyfriend, and like we were kind of like talking about the similar things, and I was just like, yeah, this is really weird because like I actually don't know him very well, and I'm literally gonna go live with his parents for 3 months. But it obviously worked out fine. Here we are almost 10 years later. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, it's those yes moments that feel kind of insane. And maybe it was. But yeah, you have to sometimes just take that bigger leap or else you literally don't know what could come from it.
Yeah. I'm in one of those at the moment. Where it's like, why did I say yes to this? But I'm just like, okay, I said yes.
And
I'm
now we're
I'm
doing
I'm
it.
in it now. I'm in the midst of it, so I've got to see it through. And is it ideal? No, but let's just
But you don't know why yet. You don't have the full scope of the
no.
why.
So
And
we'll see.
maybe in like 2 years, you'll look back and be like, well, obviously I had to do that.
I had to do that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday I was really like, why am I doing this? But actually, thanks to this conversation now, I'm like, okay, just carry on, stick to it, get through it. Um, so I sent you some questions because I ask people some questions, and I feel like the more this podcast goes on, the more I'm adding to the question because I have a new question now. So, where or what makes you feel wild?
Hmm. Like instantly, I want to say being outside, right? Being in nature because that's it.
Mm,
But even more so, it's when I am doing things that take me out of time. That was not an answer I was expecting to come out of my mouth. That's hilarious.
amazing.
Um, yeah, it's like when we're doing something that just takes you out of the structure of linear time that we've like set for ourselves for things. And because yeah, we're not meant to like always run on schedules and clocks. Like there's a sun and moon cycle
And that's enough,
and
right?
that's pretty good. So like when I'm out in the mountains or we're, you know, and we're camping for a few days, or we're long distance hiking or long distance cycling, and time is totally irrelevant. We are going to a destination. We are, you know, we're just trying to beat daylight. We're just trying to get in before all the midges come out at dusk. It's like
Yeah.
the time the time shifts in terms of it doesn't run on hours anymore and numbers, but it runs on increments of the day. It runs on, are we, you know, maybe this isn't really relative to Scotland, but are we working in high sun at afternoon, and you have to make sure that like you get all your chores done before the sun starts sweltering you? Or are you waking up at daybreak now because of that heat? And
Mm.
it doesn't matter the time, because like up here in Scotland, the it literally gets light. We're so close to the solstice at
Yeah.
like 4 a.m. It was
Yeah.
late at 4 a.m. today. That's
Yeah.
nuts. And then it sets at like 11:30 or 11 or something. Like there's still light at 11:30, 12 by the solstice. Like that's insane. That's a totally
Yeah.
different schedule than in the winter when it doesn't get light until like almost
10.
9, and then
Yeah.
goes back down at 3:30 at the winter solstice. I was like, "Oh my God. I can't get used to this up here." But no, it's working with the cycles and working with the rhythms of nature that make me feel a part of it, rather than,
Really love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I wasn't expecting that answer.
No, that's cool.
I'm gonna
Because
write
I
this
put you
down.
on the spot there because it
Yeah.
wasn't like it was a new question for me that I came up with literally yesterday. So, so cool. I really like that. Yeah. And everyone will have a different take on that. So that's really cool. So I think we've kind of already covered this in quite an extent, but it'd be nice to kind of wrap it up a little bit. So what message do you want to send out into the horse world about horses?
Yeah, this is, how do you put it all into one small message? I feel like the more that we connect with horses, the more we will reconnect with ourselves, and we'll reconnect with nature and our creativity. And I think they all are weaving together, and it's just one giant tapestry. So start somewhere and continue to connect on a more spiritual and soul level with all these different aspects. And I think we'll all just be better humans.
Yeah, because I think there's definitely a shift. Like we sort of mentioned earlier, in the last 2 years, I feel like it's really changed, like very quickly. And I've I've had such a difficult relationship with social media in the past, but I'm kind of navigating it better now because of the horses, because actually, thanks to it, there's all these amazing people that I've now found and
Yes.
connect with and share stories with, and like, yes, you do that too, or like, how was your experience with this? And as well, I think let's talk about it on animals on a more bigger scale, but I think animal husbandry has improved because of those connections, because people are saying, hey, this isn't how you should keep hamsters. You should keep them like this. It's way better. This is how guinea pigs could be kept. Because I remember as a child, like guinea pigs were in a small hutch that was in your backyard. And now, like, people have guinea pig rooms. And I'm just like, that's just so nice. So it's not just
Wow.
horses that are experiencing that shift. And like, people could take cats on leads and take them camping. Like, that's awesome. And then let them free roam around their van. Like, I literally saw a video on Instagram this morning and I was like, that wouldn't be happening without that online connection
Mm,
because we wouldn't see it. Like,
right. And then you don't know that it's possible almost, right?
yeah.
And the more that we do that, and like, what is that Rupert Sheldrake study with rats, I want to say,
I think so, yeah.
um, where, they did a study with like rats learning a certain maze, we'll say, and they do it faster and faster each time, or maybe it was mice, whatever. And then across the ocean in another country, they're doing the same studies, and the rats are learning it faster and faster every time. So it's like the collective connection
Conscious.
The collective
Again.
conscious is all like it's literally we're all connected. And the faster and the more that we are learning things, it spreads to everybody. And it might not be, like instantaneous downloads in our heads, but like it is more accessible. Like how many people are running ultra marathons right now? That's insane. Like a marathon is insane enough, but I know personally multiple people who have run ultra marathons. That's nuts. And then when they go to those races, there are hundreds of people there. Like, who is doing this that like sets the bar for the next crazy thing? Like the extreme sports are getting more extreme because people are able to push themselves and they can see other people doing it too. So
Mm.
it's not just in these little like Guinness Book of Records, you have like a single line saying that somebody did this one time?
It's like a collective growth and a collective shift, and a collective maybe testing of the boundaries in which society, particularly Western society, has confined us to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
I feel like we're almost now kind of saying, well, what can we do with that? How can we break through that restriction? And I think it's happening because it's like with homeschooling as well. Like there's more and more people getting homeschooled, and
Hmm.
when I look back on the education system, I just took it as word because it's like that's just what you did. You go to school. I mean, we're not even that old, you and I. Like, but the change between us and like say people who are now in their teenage years,
It's insane.
it's insane. And more people are being homeschooled, and I'm like, that's kind of good because you're then breaking out of that, oh, you have to perform this in order to do that, or you have to study this in order to do that kind of structure.
Yeah. And I think too with the homeschooling, it will drive hopefully. I don't
Mm,
know enough. I don't have kids at the
no,
moment. So
I don't
I
either.
don't have a super big in on that world. But what I do imagine is that because there are more people stepping away from the traditional schooling, there will be pockets of more schools doing non-traditional things. And I
Mm,
know there are already, but that there'll be more nature forest schools. There'll be more I can't remember the name of them, but the schools that are really focused more on like um what kids are actually interested in.
yeah, we have those here in the Netherlands actually, and I know there's also schools that, if I remember correctly, they do like either they do the physical activity lesson type thing in the morning. So be that like wood tech or like sport or whatever they do in the morning, and then they do the more cognitive stuff in the afternoon. But I can't remember if it was that way around or the other way around. But
Mm,
I really like that because with me it was just like you have maths on this day because that's the day that it works in the timetable. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Um
the structure, the old structures are falling. Like we're
yeah.
all seeing that. It's not a secret anymore. Things are being revealed in like governments and bigger things that we have never like we're just considered conspiracies like a day ago are now just being Do you know what I mean? Like somebody I heard this somewhere once that it was like the only difference between a conspiracy theory and a fact is 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the pace that we're at right now is that things that were just kept suppressed and hidden and trying to keep us, you know, small and disconnected and divided are all falling away and we're just realizing that there's so much more um yeah, I mean, this is a whole other rabbit hole, but definitely old systems are falling away and we're here to build new ones. So this is like a positive thing, by the way, where yeah, there's a lot of shit happening in the world.
A
There
lot
is
of
a
doom and
lot,
gloom.
like everywhere you look, there is something happening and it's not great. However, just like a forest fire comes and clears out a forest and, burns things to the ground, that clearing is actually supporting a more biodiverse life to grow there. Because when we're just in the monoculture or the monocrop, and like we are a culture of, yeah, I just feel like we have changed the earth into monoculture, right? Like everywhere, there's not enough biodiversity. And so this metaphor that I'm trying to use is that when the system crumbles, aka the forest fire clears out all the dead growth underneath, then there's actual land and fertile ground to grow new on. And that's what we're in right now. We are in the fire.
Forest fire. Yeah.
We're in it. Like
Yeah.
we're
And it's
really in it.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and literal forest fires as well. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
this is not a joke. Like this is real. Like there is really
The
yeah,
world is literally and metaphorically on fire.
yes. And
Yeah.
so it's not going to be like a settling. There's not going to just be this like, and now we all breathe. It's all over. It's like it's just going to keep on going. And then how do we build and how do we start creating? Because coming back to this, oh hey fly. Um, how do we start creating and building the new world that we're going to be stepping into? Because we all know it's like in 10 years' time, we're not even going to recognize where we're at now. It's going to look so different. We are on track to like exponentially grow from technology, from AI, from, just everything that's happening right now. Like we're going to look back and not, maybe it's just in 5 years, because look at where we were in COVID. Like that was a lifetime
Yeah.
ago by now.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's coming, but we have to actually start building and thinking and envisioning and creating and imagining a more beautiful world, because that's the only thing that we can do. Because if we become hopeless and we become apathetic and we just think that everything is out to get us and that we have no power and that, oh, okay, the government's just going to take over and then we're just going to, that's just it. That's just life.
But
Then
look how people are stepping up and saying no
exactly,
collectively
exactly.
in thousands.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and that inspires more change, because the more people that show up, be, the more that it shows that people are in favor of this, and then you don't feel like the outsider
You don't
rooting
feel
for
alone.
something, you know?
Yeah. Be the phoenix and not the ostrich. Yeah. Let's all be phoenixes. That's the takeaway message.
I love that.
Okay, on that note, because that actually I think that leads into the next question. So, what gifts have you received from horses, or specifically Merlin, if you like, that keep showing up for you or showing up for you right now?
I mean, it's just like reconnecting with myself. That, I mean, that's the root of it. It's like reconnecting with our soul, ourself, and then that leads us to everything else afterwards, because we're awake. It's
Yeah.
waking us up, really. Connection with horses is waking us up, and that leads into everything else that we've talked about.
You don't need to say any more than that then. Um, I will say, is there anybody else you'd like to invite aside Merlin into this conversation before we kind of wrap it up?
Hmm. I think that's okay for now. He felt very
Cool.
present.
Nice.
Hmm.
And if he could tell us about you, what do you think he would say?
When you asked this question, I just laughed because he is very serious. Um, he can be a very serious horse. Like I always just imagined him like, you know, very like proper, like with wearing like a suit and tie and just like, saying things with a very, I don't know. He's probably had a British accent, just like went to went to Oxford. That's what I imagined. I don't think he actually does now that I know him more, but that was like my first impression of him when I first met him, was just like, yeah, it was kind of funny. But actually, he's a wizard. He is Merlin. Like he is very much so a magician working between worlds, and this fly is actually
He's just being present.
I was just gonna say, bringing us to presence. Thank you, fly. Um, and yeah, I totally lost my track. Sorry.
Merlin is a magician or a
Oh,
wizard.
of course he is.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. But what he would say about me is that he and I are meant to create things together in this world. And like it's very business oriented sometimes. Like it does feel very much so, like
Does
he
that
guides.
surprise you?
No.
No, because he brings that.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he is like the energy behind my work to start with. And so it feels like everything that I do is always kind of like a thread back to him or a thread through him. So whether it's him literally giving me ideas or he's the, you know, the voice piece through the Equine Collective, like that feels very real. And so while I don't know what he would say about me necessarily, it would be like, we got some things to do. It's quite funny. Yeah,
I
it does
think I
feel
know.
very.
I think I know what I'm going to call this episode. Merlin the Wizard. It's going to be the episode title.
Yes, I
Merlin the
love that.
Wizard and Nica.
Also, funny enough, when I was renaming him, because it was like part of my own process. This is a whole other story that I didn't even talk about.
I want to bring it up actually. I did want to come back to that, so that's great. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll just do a quick circle back where essentially remembering back to that time of me working with him, things were great. And then one day I got bucked off really, really bad. And it was, thank God I was okay, but it was one of those falls that it could have gone really wrong. But it didn't, and I'm here, so that's great. Um, and yeah, I was terrified to get back on him. Like I could not. I I I left for Central America for a few months in the winter, and a lot changed in that time for me. And when I came back, I just like could only sit in the field with him. Like I could not do anything else but like sit there. Like I
Mm.
couldn't do anything with him because all the other things that were going on in my head about like working with him and does he even want to do this? What am I even doing? And then on top of that, yeah, just being scared. And then fast forward, I'm still not in a really great place mentally, physically, and then I realized that like I just can't live this life anymore. And one day I was like, okay, this is it. And actually, what catalyzed it was that my boss at the time came out to me one day and said that I'm loading Merlin up in the trailer or Mo in the trailer. And I was like, oh, why? And he took,
Newsflash.
yeah, he said, I'm taking him to a trainer because you're not doing anything with him anyways. And I was like, I was obviously livid. And so I had planned to take Mo back to, it's so weird when I think about that time. I like almost have to call him that because it's just like a different world. I took him to the round pen because this was my plan. I wasn't planning on riding by any means, but I was planning on working with him. And I was like, I knew in my heart that this would be the last time I ever saw him. And so I put the saddle on him and I asked him with the most like genuine and nervous, like inner voice. I probably said it out loud. I don't remember. But I asked him if I could get on and we could just try this one more time. And he just lowered his head and like shook his head out and he let me get on, which was already a thing. Like he was not like mounting was already a thing for us sometimes and whatever. So him just standing there perfectly. And then I breathed and he just walked as if 7 months hadn't passed between us, as if nothing happened. And I was like, I was so grateful. I just broke down crying. I was just like, what? And then I asked him if he wanted like to trot or canter or do anything else. Like, I was ready for it because again, it was like this moment of absolute trust. Like this was the thing
Mm.
for me was that I never trusted him. And so I told him in that moment that like I trust you and if you want to do this, like I would love to. And he just picked up the most perfect little lope. And again, as if nothing happened. And this was again, at that time, this was already mind blowing to me, like cantering with him, like this it was
Yeah.
not always a smooth thing. But anyways, and I just like sat there and cried for a minute and then I brought him on the trailer. And that was the last time I saw him because that afternoon or the next day, all my built up rage from the almost 3 years I worked there and all the things that were not great about it all came up to the surface and I absolutely exploded and I quit. And so I packed up my life in Virginia and I moved back up to Wisconsin. I In that same week, my grandmother passed, so I literally packed up all my stuff and drove to her funeral. Like literally like to my aunt's house to go to her funeral. And I felt free. Like I felt so free from like everything and I was just like, "Oh my God, my life is now starting again and I get to choose what this looks like." And so fast forward, this is we're moving quick here, but fast forward me learning all this other stuff, going to these different barns, like feeling like really good about like I'm learning body work, energy work, positive reinforcement, blah, blah, blah. Like all this stuff was happening. And then I would say a year and a half, 2 years, no, 3 years later, that's what it was. 3 years later, somebody gets in contact with me and says that she has Mo and like asked me some questions about him and I was like, I haven't seen him in 3 years. I don't know anything about him. He was sold to somebody. I don't know anything about him. Like I don't know. And then I kind of like watched him on social media because she was like posting stuff about him and it made me kind of cringe a lot. Um, but I felt like he was right there. Like I don't know what it was, but like
Like he was with you, or
yes, exactly.
yeah.
Like he was like right around the corner. Like I would like see him tomorrow and I was like, what, this is so strange. And I know it was because like obviously I'm seeing him on social media and I'm like looking at him in more real time than I had been in years because I kind of just shut that door, right? And at the end of the summer that year, right as we were finishing up a co-author book with telling our stories of our horses, like literally what we're what you're doing on this podcast is like I had a co-author book with like 17 women from around the world and we all shared our stories about that horse, right? And as we were finishing that up, this last part of my story came in and it was like the timing was unbelievable but obvious, right? He was like, there's more to this. So right before we were supposed to go to publish, I ended up writing another section in my story because the woman reached out to me and said, I have to cut my herd down by two like this week. Can you take him? And I was like, I'm in Scotland. And I was like, um, but what am I supposed to do when the horse that changed everything has the potential to freely come back into your life? Like, what do you do? And you're across the world. Um, I called up my friend who has a horse sanctuary, and she's been a lifelong friend. Literally, we grew up down the road from each other, and we were both like horse crazy girls. And yeah, she has a horse sanctuary up in Wisconsin, and she agreed to take him. So I just organized a trailer from North Carolina all the way up to Wisconsin, which was like a 20-hour ordeal. And now he lives there. And so I don't see him still because he's all over there, but at least I know he's safe. And at least I know that he's not going to continuously get passed around to people who don't understand him. And that means everything, you know? So we'll see. We'll see what else happens in this saga because it was possible that he was going to
Yeah.
come over here at one point, but I have to figure out more arrangements to that. So yeah, we'll
I'm
see.
crying now. It's
It's
okay.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
No, thanks for sharing that.
it's crazy what I mean. I'm gonna look back in like 5, 10 years and look at how the story continued and just be in awe because like not many people have a horse in their life that's also long distance that they feel connected to. But if you do have that strange niche situation, just know that there's somebody else out there that does too.
Yeah, I know. I know that feeling a bit right now. Hopefully not for too long, but yeah. No, I think I think that's what brings you peace though, is if you can have that connection, even though you're not seeing them every day, or kind of still having conversations with them, either like consciously when you're awake, or like for me, a lot of it shows up in dreams. So I know that when I'm in my dreams, I'm visiting them and I'm talking to them, and yeah, and that's fine. And that's how it is right now, and that's fine. It's
I
not
know things
easy
will
because
change.
You go from taking care of them every single day and then suddenly not at all. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of the collective equine conscience as well.
Totally. You were
Yeah.
always connected, and that is why, yeah, that's why you
Yeah.
can still stay connected to any being from here or who've passed.
Past.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was literally like same thing at the same time. Yeah. Because I think actually, well, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Your beautiful image of the horse circle and the stones. Okay, that image. The first time I saw that was after my horses moved to the UK. Like I'd followed you, but that was the first time it came up at the top of my feed. Like I woke up one morning, like 2 days after they moved, and I saw this picture. And I was like, that's my life right now. Like, because I was like, I realized, so when they moved, I talk about it as well in an episode where I tell the story of them moving. And when they moved, my helper, she's an amazing leadership coach called Lisa Dempsey. If you want to look her up, she's Leadership Labs, but I'll just name drop her there. She's very cool, and she helped me take care of them a bit over here. And she took me away before the trailer came. She said, "Okay, we need to take care of you right now." So she had me in this meditation, and um, yeah, I ended up crying at one point because my mind was so busy. It was like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And she was like, no, just. So she quieted me down. And then I had the color orange show up and the stone of rose quartz show up. And the rose quartz, as people may or may not know, is linked to the heart chakra. And I felt in that moment, I started crying because I felt the love of everybody who loved my horses and wanted a good outcome for us on that day with this big move. Because, like, flipping heck, if you saw Fion, right, everyone who knows Fion, like, you would not think he'd be able to go in a trailer across the sea and move to another country. Like, but he did it. And, like, I just felt that love. And then when I saw that image of your horse circle, I was like, that's what I was feeling in that moment, was the horse circle. And I know that, like, you've got all these people and animals, like my cat Cheryl, she's just walking up the stairs, Holly, my childhood cat, then all the people I know from the horses and all their horses, we're all there in that circle. And that's, yeah.
I love that so much. And it really inspires me because I have a massive painting that I started last year of that image. And I keep telling myself I'm going to finish it and I keep not finishing it. So maybe this is the little push because it came up yesterday that I was like feeling the urge to paint again. And now that you've said this, it's like, okay, maybe I need to break it out again. Because the only thing left to paint is the horses. And I just avoided the horses for some reason.
Maybe because you're not sure who they are.
It's possible, actually. So
maybe ask Merlin. He'll know.
Yeah, maybe it's for the person that it's meant to go to as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know them yet. So we'll see. But yes, thank you for that beautiful
There's your little
reflection.
nudge. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It was beautiful. It's been beautiful. Like, yeah, I can't really say anything more than that. So
Thank you so much for hosting and having me and for giving a voice to all the people that have been on your podcast and all the horses.
thank you. And before I wrap up, I'll just say the obvious. But anyway, where can people find you?
Instagram mostly at Nica Draws Nature, or my website is nicadrawsnature.com.
Perfect. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
I can't remember a time before you walked into my life. You took the broken parts of me and made it all alright. There's an easiness to your grace that I will never know. And every day this feeling only grows. And every moment with you just bleeds into one. Your easy smile greets my eyes just like the morning sun, a reflection of my soul, one heart that beats for two. Just know, my love, that I will